What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another trading stream here at Sin City Crypto. My name is David. I'll be your host for today, and welcome in. Pretty boring in the markets today. We see Bitcoin still above 94K, which is great, but cannot break that 95,000. And let me pull up my handy-dandy chart here. Now, this zone that we've talked about, this was Bitcoin's accumulation zone right when it came into its first all-time high. And so this is going back to November of last year, November 26th through the 23rd of February. And again, we are measuring this area right here, right? Before Bitcoin went down. And so that fixed volume range, that POC that we've been eyeing, we just cannot break above. We keep attempting to retest that on a wick. Multiple wicks actually, but we've yet to close a candle above. And so you can see how important this level is. And again, I'll drop a flag right on top of that sucker. 95,695. That is the level we need to breach before we can head to all-time highs. I expect this to be breached sometime this week. I think Rob and I still believe that 100K by the end of the week, specifically Friday, we will see BTC, but we need to see some momentum. We've seen volume start to taper off a little bit. Take a look at market cipher B. We still have money flow increasing to the upside along with the RSI and our stochastic oscillator. VWAP, though, is trading below our zero line. We want that thing to come back up. Once we see it come back up, should be the start of the rally up to 100K. Now, this is on the higher time frame, again, on the daily for BTC. But again, this 95,695 level is what we want to keep our eye on for Bitcoin. Until then, now we could very well be wrong, and this could be chopped sideways. And let's take a peek and see. So here, right, we had chop from the 12th of April through the 20th. So little over a week of sideways price action. And then we saw volume come in and Bitcoin really see a big rally to the upside. And that, my friends, was a terrible drawing. But that rally was from the wick low to wick high, 14%. So not bad. And so we've seen Bitcoin go through long phases of consolidation. I don't think it's going to be anything like here. I think it'll be probably more likely if it does extend out something like, again, we saw between April 12th and April 12th through the 20th. So 8 days. But time will tell. We'll see what happens. But I know the longer we stay in this 95K region, if we do get a dump down to that 91.5, that is a level that Magic had his eye on, which is, and I'll drop a horizontal. If you watch the morning show, which is right here, 91.5. If we do get a drawdown there, I do expect to see an immediate bounce to the upside. There's just too much bullish momentum, too much bullish news, and just everything just tells you that if we do get a drawdown, it's going to be very short-lived. And so this also could be playing out. If we do get that drawdown, we could be coming into a really nice bull flag pattern that does extend to that retracement line. Again, 91.5. I will be a longer here. And so I'm actually keen to put in a limit order long on BTC. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Live. We won't go too degen. We'll go 10x leverage, isolated, and let's make sure that our copy traders are getting this price action as well. We'll go 10x. We'll go limit. We'll go 91,588. We'll give that a whirl at, let's go $1,500. All right, 10x, limit order, 91,588 for BTC. And there we go. Okay, so that should be in now. Let's check our open orders. Yeah, Bitcoin long is going to fill at 91,588. Now, we do have one position open that is currently in the red. That is our XRP long. And I'll kind of break down what we saw on the chart and why we decided to go long on XRP. I believe this was a simple anchor trigger wave setup on market cipher B, which, yes, it was. And XRP, along with literally everything else in the market, has just been flat trending down. But you're seeing a lot of these form across all crypto, these kind of symmetrical triangle pattern setups. And this is on the 4-hour again for XRP. And the good news, though, is we are at the bottom end of that triangle, and you saw something very similar to here, and eventually it broke to the upside, right? You saw something similar here again on XRP. This is more of a descending triangle, actually, that should have broke to the downside, but it didn't. Broke to the upside, retested its trend line, and came back up. But these two scenarios, right? One here, XRP broke out and rallied. We didn't even get a retest confirmation. Rallied around 5%. And so we expect the same, and you can even call these bull pennants. We just drop our pull here, bull pennant, big move to the upside, consolidation sideways. And so the good news is, again, we are nearing the end of this. If this does end up being a symmetrical triangle breakout, whether it's to the upside or downside, I do expect that to break to the upside. And what we saw on Market Cipher B here, my friends, was it on the 1 hour or the 4 hour? I believe it was the 12 hour? Oh, it was a 12 hour. And so this is what we saw. This was our anchor wave, trigger wave setup for a long on XRP, I believe. And actually, I think it was, let me cycle through this. It's either the 1 hour or the 4 hour. Let's see. We entered this trade at 228. I believe my entry was, you know what? Why am I making this hard? Let me just, okay, either way, it was an anchor trigger wave setup on Market Cipher B. And so we had our anchor wave, our trigger wave. We actually had multiple trigger waves. And what we saw as well is we saw the momentum waves make higher lows, meaning that bearish momentum was losing steam. And so obviously this hasn't played out to how we thought it was going to at the very exact moment. But we do expect this thing to break to the upside again as we come out of this symmetrical triangle. And this might be a good place to long as well, XRP, if this trend line gets respected, which again is at 227.46 cents. Real quick, want to give a big shout out to some people in here. Shout out to my man, Poe Man. What's going on, brother? You are very welcome, my friend. We can continue to use our platform for good. We will do so for good people, and you are one of those good people. K Diggity, Dave Digital, what's up, man? I'm sure I'll see you in Vegas next month. Also, if you're coming to Vegas next month for the Bitcoin conference, let us know. We'd love to link up with you, hang out. Maybe, I don't know, go grab a drink or a cigar. And also, if there's anything you want me to take a look at, I got my notepad ready. And so I'll jot those down, and we'll go through those charts and take a look at what we're seeing. But let's take a peek over at CoinMarketCap, see what's up for the day. Soul Layer, haven't heard of this one. I believe this one just cracked the top 100. Yes, it did. And this is a fairly new token. I don't know much about this. Hardware accelerated blockchain that offloads blockchain components on a program chips. 1 millisecond bandwidth. Obviously, this is a Solana layer. Okay, so not familiar with this one. It's fairly new, but it just cracked the top 100, and it is the top gainer over the last 24 hours. The other one's Monero. Now, Monero rallied when the Bitcoin, there was some Bitcoin hack, and so it was being cycled through Monero, and that's why Monero rallied. And the Hyperliquid is doing fairly well over the last 24 hours, up 5%. Now, the rest of the markets are fairly down. We saw a sweet ecosystem project, DeepBook, which crossed into the top 100 along with its buddy Walrus. And you can see on the 7 days, these are up pretty big. And so for the people, Rob, that say that Sui doesn't have an ecosystem, no, use it. Here you go. You have 2 ecosystem plays in the top 100, but they are also the leaders in what is down the most. Pengu is down as well. And then Athena, we did get a nice long trade on Athena. And let me just refresh my memory. ENA long, we cashed that out for 7% profit, so not bad. So we caught that again. I think that chart setup was also a anchor trigger wave. I think that was on the daily though. And let me pull up the Athena chart. I think I got to scroll all the way down. ENA, stop scrolling, and I think it was, I think it was on the 4 hour. Let's take a peek here. But Athena is a project that I'm very fundamentally bullish on. It's just had really, really rough price action. You can see on the 4 hour. Let's actually throw on our cloud and we can work through this chart together. So pretty bearish here as we've seen a breakthrough below the cloud, which is what you don't want to see. And so if this trend continues, expect this to turn bearish. And our conversion line is currently trading below our baseline, which is also bearish. That's on the 4 hour. Let's take a look on the daily at what that looks like as far as our cloud setup. So we got a rejection attempt to break into the cloud. That got rejected, and we are currently trading below. The one saving grace for now here is our conversion line is trading above our baseline, but that gave on the price action, and we're looking to catch support at that baseline, which is sitting at 31.48 cents for Athena. We take a peek here on market cipher B. We did get a red dot on the daily, which is not good. Stochastics RSI pointing down. VWAP trading below, and it looks like we just got a money flow go from green to red, which is another bearish signal. And so for this one, it's going to cycle through the time frame, see if we're seeing any setups. 7 hour looks fine for now if this 31.03 holds. And then the lower time frames are all looking fairly bearish. Let's take a peek here. Yeah, look at those momentum waves. I mean, those things are we're way past our 60. And I believe, if I stand corrected, Athena has like some of the worst funding rates. So we are back negative again on the funding rates, but you can see this thing got clobbered. This was from the 6th of February, outside of maybe 3 small spikes to the upside, a solid month of negative funding rates as price continue to grind down. And so I know with Athena, the tokenomics aren't the best. They have a lot of unlocks. But again, from a fundamental standpoint, I am bullish on this. This is an institutional stablecoin DeFi play. But price action wise, and I believe we had some higher time frame levels that we were looking at for Athena. And I'll remove my cloud. I believe it was at 20, or let me see if I have any mapped out. I don't have any mapped out here. And so we can just do this on the fly. And we actually did this exact same trade setup, and that move would have took us up to, I believe, $1.20, $1.50. We had a very similar setup. Again, we revisited this. This is a massive cup and handle, right? We had a big move to the upside, rounded bottom, and we're seeing something similar play out. As long as we don't go below 26.8 cents, this is still a chart that I'm interested in potentially taking along. If we do retest at 26.80, in fact, I feel so confident that I am going to put in another limit order. And this one I don't think we can copy, so we're going to have to swap over to our USDT wallet address. And we'll put in a limit long. Hopefully that helps. And we still have our limit long order live. I believe we have a limit long order on Gala Live, and this one I'm going to ramp it up to 12x limit, and we're going to target this. We're going to target 2685. So that is where, let's see, 2685. We'll go 1K on this one. Limit ENA, we'll go long. Boom. Okay. So now we should have 3 long. So there we go. There's our Gala long at 1.293 cents. That is a long. I believe we did a 15x long on that one. We have our XRP take profit stop loss orders. So my stop loss is at 224 for XRP. Take profit is at $2.43. And then we have our Bitcoin long limit order at 91,588 and our Athena limit long order 12x at 2685. I would expect that level to hold for ENA. Again, this is going back to the beginning of April. We saw a really nice bounce. We retested again, saw a really nice bounce. So if we do get down there again, I don't expect us to, unless Bitcoin tanks to under 90K. But if we do, we're looking to take a nice scalp here and really target the current price, 31.35, or we can even take this swing high of around 37.94. But with the way Athena's been moving, I'm keen to take profits earlier than not on ENA. And so that's one, but fundamentally still super bullish on this project. And then we look at the 7-day. Virtual's protocol continues to crush, and not just Virtual's protocol, but the entire ecosystem as well. And we had Magic do some tea on this earlier, and the levels that I told him that I had mapped out was $1.22, which is where we saw that consolidation before it ultimately fell. And this was a 50% weak candle. We're on the weekly time frame. And my first TP level is going to be $2.03 on Virtuals Protocol. And we talked about this potential as well, which it looks like we're not going to get. And we are getting this massive gravestone doji on the daily. Let's take a peek at what Market Cipher B is telling us. VWAP money flow still above the 0, which is great. Stochastic oscillator went bananas. This is just, I mean, went from 7 to 86 immediately with no stopping. RSI is starting to waver off just a little bit, and we were seeing on the move up these momentum waves make higher lows, which is what you want to see. No dots here, though, on Market Cipher B on the daily. We take a peek on the cloud. Let's take a look at where the trend is, where we could potentially find some support levels if we do get a drawdown. Now, for me, when I see moves like this, I want pullbacks, right? And you should want the same thing. Sure, we want everything to go up and to the right forever and ever. It doesn't usually happen that way. And also what we're seeing potentially a setup on Virtuals Protocol is a ginormous cup and handle pattern. And I would expect us to catch some support right at $1.22 for Virtuals Protocol. But as far as the cloud goes, we are still very bullish, right? We did get that twist of green, which is what we want to see. We have our conversion line trading above our baseline, which is also what we want to see. But if we work our way down to the lower time frames, let's see if anything's changing on the lower. Looks like we're catching a little bit of support at our conversion line, which is our 9-day moving average at around $1.40. So for a trade setup on this one, I would not touch a trade. I'd be interested in a long at $1.22 right here. $1.22. I want to long this thing with other factors to be considered as well. This is, again, on the 4-hour. If we expand out Market Cipher B, money flow looks solid. Did get a red dot on the momentum wave, which took us down from around $1.47 to our current price of around $1.40. So if you are using Market Cipher, that would have been a really nice short if you entered in on that signal. And then working our way down to the 1-hour, let's take a peek of what we're seeing. Money flow is trending down on the 1-hour. VWAP is at -18. And this is actually the lowest we've seen since, so it's back on Sunday. And let's take a peek at what price did when VWAP got this low. And we'll just drop a vertical here. We'll get rid of our cloud. And let's take a peek. So VWAP hit a bottom of around -21. Price continued to grind down. It would cause support right at $1, and then Virtuals rallied its initial leg around 26%. And so what this tells me is VWAP is fairly in the red, right? Again, -18, but we still might have a little bit of downside to go. And again, the target I'm looking for, my friends, is $1.22. Which in my opinion, and we can actually draw some fibs here as well. Let's expand this. Let's get rid of this one. How are you guys' day going so far, man? How's the beginning of the week? Yeah, let me know in the comment section. Okay. So you got your gold pocket sitting between $1.35, $1.35.6 to $1.36.8. And you see what price did on the way up on that initial retracement. We did get 2 wicks down here, and then price continued to move upwards. So that would be the first area that I'd be looking at. Again, that is our gold pocket. It looks like we're catching some support at our 50% retracement level. Again, this is on the daily. But lower range, looking at $1.35. If it fails, though, again, $1.22 is where you want to look at. So might be worth a stab at a long at $1.35. Closer to $1.38. Yeah, $1.35, $1.36 is what I meant. $1.35.8. And if that fails, look for $1.22. $1.22 is, and of course, this is not financial advice. But if you feel like you missed out and you're like, oh man, I should have accumulated virtuals down here, David. I know you were talking about it nonstop, but I didn't do it. Did I miss the train? I don't want to buy now. If you're going to go both hands in, scoop up some for your spot, I'd be patient and wait for $1.22. I do think we'll get a retest there. All right. I'm going to take a peek at the chat. See if there's anything else you guys want to take a look at. Axel doing well. Axelar. Let's take a peek at Axelar. Axelar is a great infrastructure play. If you're looking to add to your infrastructure plays, and let's just go ahead and, oh, no, that's Axie Infinite. Let's pull up Axelar. All right, let's throw on our cloud. Almost, my friends, almost. And did we look at this one? So this one's on the daily. So a couple things. This is still in a bear trend, okay? So technically it's still in a downtrend. We are seeing spikes in volume on buying days, which is good. But you see a rejection here at 44 cents, and then we saw a spill off from wick to wick around 40%. And we had this rejection on this candle, and then we're making another push up. But the level we want to clear, depending on when, if we try to breach this before the 30th, so before tomorrow, you're looking at 42.89 cents. If this happens at any point after, that barrier to entry or that barrier to break is much lower at 40 cents even. And so we want to see ideally, and I'll get rid of my flags. Ideally, we want to see, and this is really in every move, we had that perfect bounce off of our 9-day moving average, a push above. We're failing in the cloud. And so one of two things is going to happen, okay? One, it'll be a complete rejection, and we come back down and we retest this 26-day moving average, which is right around 33.68 cents. Or we, well, three scenarios technically, or we kind of chop sideways and move with the cloud. Or the ideal scenario would be a break above, come back and retest, see some volume come in, and then push to the upside. And this will ultimately change the trend of the chart. I'm going to take a peek at Market Cipher B on the daily, seeing what we're seeing. So money flow is about to cross to the upside, which is great. And VWAP just did a U-turn. It was about to cross below our midline, but we saw extending to the upside. And then RSI is telling us that this chart is currently oversold on the daily higher time frame. And expanding momentum waves. You see, we're making higher highs on the momentum wave, which is always a good sign of continued price action to the upside. And so, according to my beautiful Picasso level Michelangelo drawing here, three scenarios. If we do come back and retest this 26-day moving average, which is your red line, I expect to see a bounce. You saw last time, this is where price opened, this candle here. This was on the 24th, which was last Thursday. We saw a 10% move from Axelar. And then we saw a little bit of a retracement. We saw some sideways price action, and then that move up. But ultimately, we need to reclaim our cloud, and we need to see this thing twist to green right here. And it looks like it's on its way to do so. But everything else looks great on Axelar. And actually, if we zoom into the 4-hour, and let's get rid of all of you. Yes, good. The lower time frames look actually very good. 8-hour trading above, 7-hour trading above, 4-hour trading above with the cloud expanding. That is good. 2-hour also trading above, and the 1-hour trading above as well. Where did my market, did I close out Market Cipher B? Shame on you. I don't want to lose Market Cipher B. Let's pull that sucker back up again. There we go. Market Cipher B. Let's move you down. Let's minimize you. And there we go. So on the 1-hour, Market Cipher B did get a green dot here, which is great. But I want to take a look at the 4-hour on Market Cipher B. Okay, so let's see how price did here. And you guys know I like to do this. Go back and look at how these signals and indicators work. And so entry here. So this would have been a false signal. And I'm just kind of talking and thinking out loud here. It looks like we might have gotten a false signal on an XRP trade as well on that anchor trigger wave setup. But again, as in life and trading, you can't win them all. But if we take that out, it'll be fine. I think we have our SL at 224, and we are currently 150. So I think we're approaching our we're at $22.25.26 on XRP. But for XLR, fundamentally, I am bullish on this. I hold a little bit, not a lot of XLR, but lower time frames look great. Higher time frame, we want to see a break. At least let's trade in the cloud and then push to the upside again. But in the moment right now, higher time frame bearish, lower time frame still fairly bullish. But you're seeing that across the board on multiple. Let's see what Bitcoin is doing. 94.5. So seeing a little bit of retrace. I'm curious to see what the inflows will say on the ETFs today. And with that being said, I'm going to take a quick break. If you're new here, make sure you sub to the channel. My wife was calling me. My kid got kicked in the nuts today. And so she's like, what do I do? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not there. Cardano just dropped like a rock. Did it? Let's take a peek. Let's take a peek. I'm also curious, what do you guys think is the most underperforming crypto in the top 100 so far this year? Maybe it's one that you have in your portfolio that you're just not excited about the price action. To me, I think Cardano would fit into my top 5 of most underperforming. And so this is ADA. Let's go to the lower time frame. Let's go to the 30-minute. 30-minute just completely fell through our clouds. Look at the 1 hour. 1 hour fell through as well. Same with a 2 hour. 4 hour looks like we're catching a little bit of support. Okay, so the last time on the 4 hour we tested our cloud, Cardano actually rallied from wick to wick around 4%. And that is where we currently are. And you see, we zoom in, just a perfect bounce off of the top end of our cloud. Let's take a peek at market cipher B. Okay, so what you're seeing on market cipher B, and this green dot just printed. Okay, so this might actually be anchor, and you can't see that, anchor wave. And this, my friends, is your trigger wave for a short. Okay, and that just printed on our 4 hour. Oh man, this is a tough one. This is a tough one because market cipher B is telling me to enter a short, but my cloud is telling me be careful because we wicked down to 69.41 and we are seeing a bounce. And the daily, we're kind of in no man's land. Let's take a look at where we are on a 200-day moving average on the daily, actually. This is, yeah, so higher time frame ADA chart does not look good. I mean, we had this inverse head and shoulders set up, and I think I had it here. Yeah, we had this inverse head and shoulders set up that broke to the upside, but we caught some resistance at our 200-day moving average ribbon, which is not good. And so the last time, and let me hide this. Let me hide this. Is there's something wrong with my stream? Oh, show the screen. Sorry. Billy, I got a call from my boy Billy. I'm like, why is he calling me? He knows I'm live. All right. Sorry about that, my friends. So here's what I'm looking at for ADA. Okay. So we were looking at the higher. Okay. So I'll just go back and kind of share what I was showing. So let me get rid of this. And so what I was saying is on the 4 hour, we're getting a positive bounce off of our cloud, but on market cipher B, we just got a short signal on an anchor trigger wave setup on market cipher B. We just got a green dot. And so I was kind of going back and forth in my head, right? Market cipher B is telling me to short, but this is telling me that we're at a key support level. And ideally, right, it's trading 101. You don't want to short at key support levels, especially when you have a case study here, which is a positive bounce. Are we going to get the same thing here? Positive bounce, potentially. So to me, this is a wait and see on ADA and the higher time frames. What I was kind of going over here on on ADA. And so we're kind of in no man's land. We've gotten rejected off of this cloud, but we are currently trading above it. But that cloud you can see is massive. The top end is 85 cents. So we have a long ways to go before we can flip this thing to bullish. Okay. On the on the higher time frame, what I was looking at right before I realized I wasn't sharing my screen was our 200-day moving average ribbon. And what I was showing on this was this head and shoulders pattern that we got a break. We got a retest of the neckline on a wick, and we're just trending down. But the rejection here, this rejection is not good. And so ideally, you want to be above all three bands, right? This is your close. Fuck, I always forget this shit. Low, close, and high. So your low band, your close, and your high band. We want to be trading above our high band before we can really be confident in the overall trend of ADA. And so, but on the bullish side of ADA, you're coming into, and you guys, those of you that are watching me know exactly what I'm going to draw. We are coming into a high time frame bullish pattern here, okay? And that bullish pattern, my friends, is a bull flag on ADA, and 67.59 cents is where we should catch some support for this move up. If this plays out, we can even draw our fibs. So that is right where our 50% retracement level is, and our gold pocket sits at, we'll call it 65 cents even. And our gold pocket is right. Let me drop it. Right here. This is your gold pocket right here, between 65 cents and 65.5 cents. And so for me, for ADA, I'm not looking at a short now, although Market Cipher B is telling me to short. I'm looking at a long on the completion of this pattern at 67.2 cents. If that fails, I'm looking at another long on a bounce off of our golden pocket at 65 cents. And so ADA to me is a wait and see. High time frames, as far as indicators go, not looking good. Trading below our 200 MA. We're kind of in no man's land on our cloud. But from a pattern standpoint, we are in a bull flag pattern that we should see break to the upside. And that measured move would be, depending on where we break, if we broke from here, good news is we clear all three bands of our moving average, and we clear this 81.5 cent level. Great. If we take this thing all the way down to where we expect it, which is 67.9 cents. That move takes us, and you see the confluence here, my friends, to that 81.5 cent level, which again, our moving average band on our close, and also that's that resistance level we had mapped out. And going back, you can see how important that level is on the daily as price continue to bump up. This was once, twice on a wick, 3, 4 times until Cardano ultimately spilled off. And then on the way up, we had this massive rally. We took that level. We took 2 key levels in one candle and then gave it back. But when we did give the 50% of that move back, where did we catch support? At that 81.5 cent level. And so that is what I'm looking at for ADA. Long story short, wait and see. Trade the breakout of this bull flag pattern and look to stop or take profit before we hit 81.5 cents. And so to say ADA is falling like a rock, I wouldn't say it's falling like a rock. Definitely not performing well, but hey, it is what it is. All right. I'm just going to stay. I am getting phone calls left and right. The love of God. Can you do Avalanche? Let me guess. Daniel Kaufman. Yes, Daniel, I can definitely do Avalanche for you, my friend. I'm curious, Daniel, is Avalanche the only token you hold? Put a 1 for yes, put a 2 for no. Okay. Daniel, we love you here. I'm also very bullish on Avalanche. It's one of my biggest bags. Okay. Avalanche trading well below its 200-day moving average. I mean, before we can even have the conversation of is this thing in an uptrend, we got to get above $28.84. And let's get rid of this, and let's throw on. Oh, man. Let's get rid of that, and let's throw on our cloud. Let's get rid of. So cloud is actually cloud is telling us we are in an uptrend, okay? And this is a really, really nice breakout. So you have a few things happening. One, we are in an uptrend on the daily with our cloud. We've broken above our cloud, and we've currently and previously, yesterday's candle, we've gotten a confirmation retest. And that level we want to stay above is $21.25. And that we had some confluence on our conversion line, which is, again, our 9-day moving average at $21.26. And we're seeing some confluence here. And so, Daniel, I don't know if you're a trader, but if you are, not financial advice, but this is what I'd be looking, especially if this happens today, within the next 2.5 hours, look to long AVAX at $21.25, so long as the overall trend is either flat or up. If the overall trend is down and Bitcoin's crashing, I don't know, 93.5 down to 92, maybe we get that 91.5 retest like Magic was expecting. Unless that happens, I feel very confident long in AVAX at $21.25. And again, very similar setup to what we saw with ADA on this bull flag pattern, right? And you're seeing confluence again. And I'm curious, I'm going to draw the fib here, and I'm going to see on this move up, and I'm going to measure it from the bounce of our 26-day moving average, which is here. What are some key levels? Okay. So we have our 236 level, which we've already breached. And then our golden pocket sits right in our cloud. In fact, the 618 level sits right at the top end of our cloud. And this is on the daily. And that is between $20.43 and $20.56. So if we lose 21.25, I would expect to see a big bounce between $20.43 and $20.56. And you can see previously, this golden pocket level has been a key resistance area. Once, twice on a wick, 3 times. That third time was also a wick. And then ultimately, we had this 11% candle to the upside, which we blew right through. Not only our golden pocket, but we blew through that 50 level as well. And so that's what I'd be looking at. So it seems like the overall trend of the market right now is wait for a long, right? On the higher time frames, on the lower time frames. We can even take a peek at what Market Cipher B is telling us. Nothing of note here on the daily. Our VWAP is still trading below our 0 line. We can zoom into the 4-hour. We did get a red dot on the 4-hour, which is not good. But that's just one indicator again. On the 1-hour, we're seeing expanding momentum wave. So we officially have made a lower high, or excuse me, a lower low. As you can see here, this low, making a lower low. So what does that tell me? That tells me that the bearish price action has some legs. The momentum is going, and we are getting RSI and stochastic oscillator here. We're seeing these meet. And so money flow continuing to expand. And so lower time frames, bearish. Higher time frames for me is a wait and see. A lot of potential bullish patterns unfolding. But that's just from a TA standpoint, right, Daniel? From a fundamental standpoint, I think you know where we stand on AVAX, super bullish. Yeah, but this also, you can argue this has been one of the underperformers, right? And let me get rid of some of these indicators. We can argue this has been one of the more underperformers across the entire market. And I believe if we pull up AVAX versus BTC, let me clean up this chart here just a little bit. We'll get rid of you. I mean, we're at shit. AVAX to BTC, we're at like January of 2021 levels. So very similar to what the ETH chart looks like. And we can actually, no, I don't want to do that. We can actually, no, I don't want to do that either. What I was going to do, let me pull up a BTC chart here real quick. I want to take a look at ETH. Okay, so ETH versus BTC, very similar, and I think we're looking on the weekly. I mean, obviously the ETH charts is much uglier when you compare it to Bitcoin, but very similar, right? very similar, and I'll pull up the AVAX one here. This is, let's go weekly, yes, and we can zoom out here. Now, obviously, AVAX had some spikes that we didn't see with ETH, and let me just minimize this as well. And let's do a 1-year time frame. So 1-year time frame, this is kind of the what we're comparing, and they both look fairly similar, right? Just down and to the right against BTC for AVAX. And so you would have been better off being in BTC for AVAX, BTC instead of Avalanche. As you can see, the price, how price has been. And so when you compare it to Bitcoin, not good. And then compared it to the rest of the altcoin markets, we've seen each altcoin kind of run. And AVAX did have that rally going back to the October of 2023. And then more recently, towards the end of last year, we saw AVAX rally around 70% versus BTC. But again, the whole idea of crypto is, the first question is, number one, are you beating Bitcoin? If you're not, you're inherently taking on more risk, which is unnecessary. And two, what are the other altcoins doing? And so the other altcoins, you've seen massive rallies, and AVAX has kind of just been flat. But I think when AVAX's time comes, it's going to be pretty big. With that being said, my friends, do you think Avalanche could hit over $100 this year? Yeah, I do. I think for me, my base case for AVAX was like $300 to $400. We'll see. Not according to ES and Mohammed, though. Yeah. Holding a fat overlever on Hedera. All right, guys, that'll do it for the show today. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. If you're not subscribed, make sure to do so. Also, jump in our Discord and get VVIP access. It's free. You'll get all of our trade setups, and we'll see how many of these fill, and we'll see if XRP can turn around. Just one final peek. We were at negative 15%. It looks like we're gaining a little bit of ground. And so I got my stop loss in at $2.24. If that fails and we get stopped out, so be it. We move on to the next trade. And so you'll know what that next trade is if you're in our Discord. I'll leave you with that. Love you guys very much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Till then, peace.